favor signify by saying aye. So, Mr. Board, if you want to just wait until Supervisor Thompson gets here so you can give your, I don't have to say it twice.
Okay, that sounds good. Might need anything, right at water.
Yeah, appreciate it. I always have people say they don't hear me. Yeah, I know y'all don't believe that. I know you don't. I've heard a lot of people saying they can't hear the meetings.
It's really just so much background noise a lot of times.
I know the one that we had in the gym, nobody could hear anything.
I was listening to that.
You couldn't even hear in there.
If you'll speak closer to your mic, so it will help. Because Linda says from time to time she has trouble with our tape also. So the closer you get to the mic, the better she'll hear.
Is it shiny green?
If it's shiny green, it should be on. Mr. Chairman, yours on.
I just turned it on.
Oh, we're supposed to share mine. I'm hogging it. Ain't I?
I'm just playing.
That's
What's the first slide? What's that?
Really perplexed by this. How good it is right there on the wall.
Cats
Go
love
to the
it.
first slide. Or you
or
You've done it with the cat. They go nuts.
go.
That pointer thing she
Oh,
has,
that's far.
put on the floor and they try to grab it.
What's the first one? Oh, she's so cute. Sorry, I have you an agenda over here.
We have, we called the meeting to order
Okay.
and we've done the invocation and approved the agenda and the pledge of allegiance.
Sorry.
Turn it over to you, Mr. Ford, if you want to start this,
Yeah.
lead this.
All right. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. This is our first budget session. So we're gonna take a kind of a high look, make sure we understand what goals that we're looking at. We're gonna talk about levies, we're gonna talk about projects that we have from Louisville Lane to Baywood to get some guidance. So we're trying to just take a broad look. Nikki's done most of the hard work on this. So we'll be, my doing will be Nikki's work on this. But
Unless you don't like it.
yeah, if you don't like it.
He added
It's
it.
his fault.
Oh, yeah, me.
It's his fault. So, certainly happy to have, long discussions about the topics. So, and I'll kick it off with Nikki. We'll be chiming back and forth on this, I may.
I know. Okay, so we're here basically to review the Grayson County fiscal year 25 budget, goals, objectives, and revenue for fiscal year 25. So some of the goals that internally as staff we've set is kind of evaluate the tax rates and fees for sufficiency, kind of give you an idea where we stand in terms of certain services. Paramount is planning for the future, becoming proactive instead of reactive. Part of that is the 911 stabilization and broadband that has been a primary focus of pretty much everyone in this room as of late. Evaluating the emergency medical services in Grayson County and looking at what the impact of those services had on the budget over the past few years. Public works, anytime you have to replace a truck, it can be pretty expensive. Schools and the CIP. So, in further budget sessions, we'll go over the schools and the CIP. What we really need to do is determine the status of certain projects and get some guidance from the board on that. Baywood School being one of them. We currently have some money tucked away for Baywood School, so we need to really figure out if we're gonna keep dedicating revenue to Baywood School and what the intention with that project is. Other projects we need to kind of determine where we're going is Mount Rogers School, Flat Ridge, and Louisville Lake. Because those are really gonna have an impact on the budget, depending on what the decisions are. So I put in here a slide on cost of those goals, okay? EMS for this year, right now in the budget is $1.7 million.
Nikki, can we ask questions
Oh, yeah,
as we
no,
go through
please,
this?
please do.
Go back to the slide.
Is it, no, the EMS budget does that include all of our emergency management? Does that include Galax Grayson,
Ambulance, yes.
ambulance,
Yes.
Independence Ask, Elk Creek Ask?
Yes, that is all in the emergency services budget.
And is that, in that 1.7, does that include the apparatus?
The allowance.
The allowance, yeah.
I believe so. Yes. We don't account for that it's in the emergency services budget.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there was anything that was coded to CIP. I thought the ambulance was coded to CIP. There may be an ambulance that's
And
missing
the
from that.
rise from 2020 to the upcoming budget, is it, can you pick out a chunk of what's causing that? Is that failing rescue squads, or is it hiring additional people, or?
The only additional step, go ahead.
No, you can go. I said it's both. I mean, we've hired 2 additional staff people to support the volunteer squads. Part of it's capital, where we've invested money in fire apparatus and ambulances.
So
But it's
maybe,
also
yeah.
propping up the volunteer squads and supporting them financially, probably stronger than we have in the past.
The increase on the money per call ran, I know that was just starting the last couple of years. I know that's probably a pretty big chunk. Because
I mean, you're looking at $1 million from 2020 to 2024 is $1 million increase. That's all going to volunteers. That's not, I mean, we're talking about one position, we had a half position kind of towards last year. So really, it's not a lot of labor costs at this point. It's funding of volunteer.
Well, and I believe that we didn't increase the price or the pay per call. We initiated it for the first time, I think, with the volunteer services to give them. I mean, we're going to be faced with paying for EMS in potentially this board's lifetime.
Yeah, I think if you look at the financial forecast, which we'll talk about a little bit later, the principal driver of the recommendation to increase your tax levy comes from EMS services. It's your principal driver that I think you pointed out was $7.5 million, $7 or $8 million, $7.5 million. Now, we had the fire study. Now, we haven't done what we haven't done really is a study to determine what labor is going to cost us if we have to take on more positions and what that would look like, what the efficiency of that would be. So we haven't done any type of study that I'm aware of with that. But I think we all can have a pretty good estimate of what that's going to look like from a labor cost. It's not going to be
Oh,
cheap.
911 stabilization fund and needed that we're going out for is 2.5 million. Of course, we're talking about going up for bond issuance on that, so it's not going to cost all that much in 1 year, but as time moves on, it will cost us money.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Does that include the towers being constructed in the western end?
Yes.
Okay.
Public Works, there was a little bit of an analysis done, not by myself, but the Public Works Director, Jonathan Luper. Costs that are not covered by collections right now is $287,000. So we're collecting roughly about 1.4, but our expenses are about 1.7, and that's without capital.
What's the majority of that? Those costs that aren't being covered? Equipment.
It would be the trucks,
The trucks.
yeah.
Just the
Mhm.
trucks.
Okay, so that is with the trucks included and the salaries included?
No, that's with salaries included, but it does not include the trucks because that's usually paid for. It's either been paid for out of the ARPA fund or the capital
Okay,
fund.
yeah.
Like truck will always pay full dollar.
Mhm.
Do you have a sense of how many households in Grayson County pay the $17 a month?
I do not.
It's around 7,500.
7,500. Of all the services that the county provides, though, there is some revenue generated with the trash, correct?
Oh, 1.4
Trash.
million.
Yeah.
Trash and recycles.
So,
The deficit is what she's saying.
so what, $287,000, if we raise the trash fee $2, does that cover well, it wouldn't, 7,500 wouldn't cover it, but what is that number?
Why are you doing that? So I thought we were in break even or better before. Is that because of the ARPA money's gone now? Is that why we're in a deficit? Because isn't that,
We were break even when we went to $18. Remember, we started out $13 on the trash.
right?
And then we went to $18. And we were break even at that point. Matter of fact, we had a couple $100,000 left at that $18. But now, how many years ago has that been? We raised it to $18, and at that point, we were a couple of $100,000, and we said, well, we know that expenses are gonna go up. We know there's gonna be capital outlay projects and things. But that was whenever we went to $18. So all these years, we've absorbed and to the point where now we're running in a deficit.
So
Just fuel alone, the
Well,
increase in fuel over.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's probably double.
That wouldn't be 287,000.
No fuel.
I'm just trying to figure out where we were last year, 24 versus what 25 is looking like, and why is there such a gap?
Is it repairs? I mean, it seems like everything's in
Yeah, I didn't,
rough shape right now.
yeah, so when we went out
I mean,
there,
you're agree.
I took him out there, Luker is worried about a large item picked up,
Mhm.
on the maintenance of trucks, the cost of trucks when things are broken. I didn't get that. You got this, I got this, 287. Now, what Tracy's going is, I was always under the assumption too, that we were operating in a positive on this.
Mhm.
This is the first time I've seen this word,
A deficit.
that we're consistently operating in deficits. That's what you're.
Right, I'm with you on
And
that.
that's the number that I believe we were given last year, is that we were operating in a positive, like $100-some thousand, at least from my perspective. That sounds right. And so seeing this is like, I'm going, oh, okay, I know we're having some significant increase. You're asking where the rise in costs are compared from year to year? I don't know if I have an answer for that. I have an answer for that.
Fuel is understandable.
But it's
We
not
are
that
picking
much.
up more tonnage too.
Now, tipping fees, we've talked about tipping fees.
They went up, didn't they?
No,
Not yet.
Not yet. I think we're gonna be okay, this year, but I'm not sure.
Yes, too, yes, too.
I don't know if it's better analysis that we're finding this out from, or digging into this a little bit more. I don't know, I don't have a solid answer for this, but I do know that, our truck issue is causing us
but that truck issue is not in that number, right?
So I'm not until you said this.
Yeah, I know.
This isn't,
We also need
from my perspective, the fact that for $18 a month, somebody would come pick up all the stuff you don't want at your house is a steal. And I don't think there's any services in the county that creates as much revenue per capita as this does. So at least my perspective, when we look at the levy or we look at the trash fee, either leave it where it is and the county assume that deficit or raise the trash. It's another $3 a month based off of 7,500 in your deficit.
And 7,500 is what this trash fee was built on. It'd be interesting though to see as that, because we've taken trash fees off for uninhabitable dwellings and stuff.
Yeah,
we've
but
also-
even
we've
if you-
also gained
even if you double the number, you're looking at $1, $1.50 a month. So, I mean, to me, it's fairly insignificant.
$40.
Didn't we have some loss of revenue maybe on the plastics or something, or is there some change in cardboard or something that I heard?
We used to get a lot more out of the recycles than what we get now, especially cardboard. The paper used to be a lot better. Now the paper doesn't pay as much to recycle.
So our revenue that we had that was a little more consistent is not the same because of the recycling is not paying what it used to, is that?
Not pay as much as it used to.
I know there was some kickback on what plastics they would take and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or something.
Basically, we just get paid unless it's changed. We just get paid by keeping it out of the landfill. We don't get paid for it.
Yeah.
For it. We've been with that.
Cutting down on our tipping.
Yeah, it cuts down on tipping fees, basically, you repay.
And I know since I've lived here, there's been some pushback on that, the garbage fee, but having lived somewhere else, I mean, my parents pay $100 a month for curbside service. And we've got curbside service in Grayson County that keeps our roadsides clean, our riverbanks clean, and I get there's a deficit, and I wouldn't dig my heels in on raising prices. I wouldn't dig them in on, but I think it's one of the best services that the county offers every single household. And that's something you can't say about the other services.
I think to Mr. Boyer's point, that I think tipping fees will stay the same this year, if I had to guess, over solid waste. If you all chime in, disagree, but I think it'll stay the same, but I think in the next year or two, we'll be surprised to see. So maybe then would be the time if you think about doing something.
Hang on.
What-
Don't
what-
make that recommendation.
Uh,
Don't make that recommendation.
No, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
that'd be one way to look at it.
yeah, I think
I'm not doing.
in those meetings, there's some indication that some things may, but I was concerned it was gonna happen sooner than later, but I think we're good, as far as the tipping fees, it's just my opinion. But I'm more concerned why we're not getting the revenue from the recycling. I know that fluctuates, that's not anything we can control.
We've gotten 30,000 this year so far.
Is that yearly or just?
No, just so far this
Oh,
year.
just to this point, okay.
Just to this
And how do you collect that? I mean, how do you give us too much information? We ask too many questions. How do you sort through the recycling to do just recycling?
It's got a guy out there. One time, I can't remember the guy's name.
And I don't know, but they've got one big room where they put the cardboard, and they push it up, and they've got a baler, and they got a separate section where they throw all the plastic, and then I think there's aluminum back in one of the corners, they got a guy back there part-time that sorts that out. It's something to be proud of.
They collect all of our
Yeah.
recycling up here too. Bring it downstairs, bring it up there.
And they've got recycling centers throughout the county. I know there's one in Dale Creek at school. We have this school.
And what the part that surprised me more than anything was a lot of the revenue from the cardboard and the recycling comes from not having to pay the tip fee because you're saving all that weight. I think what they quoted us out there was we bring in 40 or 50,000 for selling it, the cardboard, and we bring in 40 or 50,000 for not having to pay for the weight.
So, well, I guess, go ahead, I get my train of thought.
So. I want to have more data analysis. It's going to take us to keep that. Jonathan Lucas, great person, Jeff Evans are great. They're not sitting out there with a spreadsheet. Jonathan, one day maybe driving a truck, getting underneath the truck, out there picking up trash. So I just need you to, we're not out there necessarily, Mitch is not out there, kind of document everything. If you need more analysis, we'll get into it. I don't know that we have significant.
I get the sense you're not comfortable with that $287 figure because you can't define where it's coming from.
I mean, I'm trusting what John was giving us, I haven't really
Yeah,
looked at it.
I agree with you. I think we need to dig into that a little more.
If that seems to be 20% of the budget roughly, of their budget out there, so that's a significant number.
I think it would be good to take a look at what, like, we give some people discounts, or I think you were talking about maybe EMS, we don't.
Sure.
So let's, I'd like to see where we're giving people a break on it before we increase the people that's paying the bill already.
Sure.
And I think tourism has a program that they give some kind of discount, maybe. I'm not sure. Is that changed?
Changed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was an incentive, we did an incentive for a while on that to try to make sure they paid their tourism tax.
Right.
Now we're getting all that tax from, I think got 110,000. That's what we did.
But whatever it is we're doing as far as cutting breaks or whatever, we look at that first. That'd be good to have that data.
So, okay.
Can I go on?
Before you go on, you said Flat Ridge on the first screen. I'm not even familiar with what we're doing at Flat Ridge.
Community center that is, it's an old school that's leased right now, and the lease will be up in 24, so during this budget year, the lease will be up.
Oh, during this budget.
We're in
Actually-
for 4 more years, well, at least.
Actually, Alan Russell approached me. He's kind of the one that's over the community center and help run it. They've done a lot of improvements out of the money they raise in their pocket. They've done a lot of the work. And the county, I didn't even know the county still owned that. I thought that they had transferred
That's why it's.
And he was requesting that the county transfer it to him because they put the work in. And, he wanted us to discuss that. I don't know when the appropriate time to do that.
Could he put us in writing that request for the community? And I mean, because I thought it was already done that way.
Me too.
So I'm happy to talk about all these schools, Mount Rogers, Baywood, Flat Ridge. You can treat them individually, or you can treat them, have a similar thought. Let's finish with the trash. And then we'll-
Oh, okay. I thought it was. My bad. I'm sorry.
Just with the revenue,
Just with.
We just wanted to give you all some things to mull over and think about during this budget process.
Yeah.
And basically,
and mull.
and provide some guidance. We don't really have opinions either way, this is just data. that
We're
we're
not getting recommendations.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
The other things I'll tell you on Public Works, just so you we're re-upping the contract for Independence. I think they sent us a number of 300 some households. So we pick up trash for town Independence. Freeze, we pick up a town for trash for Freeze. They get us a number of households. We charge them the same fee as we charge rest of county residents. Is there anybody else that we're working on right now? Okay. So those are the contracts we're working on on a year-to-year basis. And also you should know that the lot out there that we have open on Wednesdays and Saturdays costs us about $40,000 or $50,000 a year. You know, we tip fees, labor, it's hard to really count the truck fees on that. The truck's running back and forth. Yeah. But it's about $40,000-$50,000.
But that tipping fee would be there anyway, because you'd just be picking it on the side of the road versus picking it there.
Yeah, but if they don't pay a trash fee, we don't come to their house. So they may not be paying a trash fee and they still come there.
Okay, and that's not
And they
monitored.
They wouldn't be paying a trash fee because
Anybody can come. We don't monitor who comes in and who comes out. In fact, there's a lot of discussion about that.
Well, actually you do, because the guy that's out there, he tells people you can do 4 bags.
Tells me how much.
Right.
Is it? We don't know if they have.
So he's not, okay, he's not doing anything but telling them that.
So we don't monitor whether they're, some people come up with North Carolina tax. So we don't have any, we're not monitoring that at all. What other places do, like in Carroll, you have to have a sticker. Pay $1 for a sticker or $2 for a sticker. They sell it in the treasurer's office. And they get your sticker and you can bring your trash.
Allegheny does the same thing.
Carroll, solid waste doesn't take it.
If we could tighten up and save, that might pay dividends.
You should get a sticker if you're paying the $17 or $18. And if you don't pay it, then you should pay,
$70.
Well, no.
Whatever it is, 18 by 12.
Exactly.
$200 a year is what it costs you to get that sticker to have free access to.
We
That's
talked,
fair.
we talked to the treasurer's office about that. They're willing to sell stickers, right, Mitch? So we can go to that model. It helps.
I mean, that may be creating way more work than
It's actually
the
not.
way
It's actually,
what's work, but if you don't have a sticker, you can't throw your junk.
The way we did it before, when Junior Young was in there and he sold some stickers. You got curbside service. So unless you had a reason different than curbside service picking it up, that's why you bought a sticker or whatever. Not so that because I got curbside service and I go in there and buy stickers and then give them to somebody else, whatever you use. So the people that, the thought was the people that actually want to use that service were legitimately doing it by coming and getting, because other people are getting curbside service.
And then they're paying for it.
Yeah.
And we've got some people that are probably abusing the
Yeah,
system
so
out there.
Yeah, and they were trying to cut down on that, because I don't need stickers. I've got curbside service.
But if we're paying the fee, we get the sticker, it's it's convenience for the people that's paying for the service, it's not.
And it was to cut down on the people that's coming maybe across the line and,
Right. You can't combat all of it, but if it's a significant enough amount to offset some of these costs, I think it'd be a great thing.
And I think to get the sticker, you've gotta verify that you paid the trash fee in the treasurer's office.
Yeah.
Are you on land up here and you can
And-
get it?
That's the ones that it's for.
Well,
You're on land here, they do the verification and.
Well, hang on, the trash fee is attached to houses,
the payment,
Yeah,
not land.
yeah.
so
Yeah, structure.
the thing with, I mean, I thought Ms. Bradley was going this way, is if someone's willing to pay the $218, they can get a sticker. And if they're willing to do that and give it to somebody, it's only one sticker, you know what I'm saying? That might reverse and actually be beneficial for us. So, I don't know,
And
just something
you
to think
could,
about.
I don't know how much work this creates for the Constitution, but a lot. I'm assuming it's easy for us to sit in here and try to solve problems, but if you're already paying for the trash fee and you want to use that up there, you ought to be able to use it, but bring your tail up here and get you a sticker. They
Well,
have to-
Linda actually had a citizen call, and what she suggested is to keep a copy of a real estate tax ticket in the glove box. So, because that's where the trash is, right, on the tax ticket. So
I couldn't tell you what's in my glove box.
Right. I like the sticker idea, but the guy that's out there manning the ship, he's gonna have to, it's gonna have to be put where he can,
I see a sticker on
he
the
can
back.
see it and, he can't be.
Well, and frankly, it's a service that we probably need to discontinue, but we've gone down that road before, and that did not go well. And so if we're not gonna discontinue it, I think there has to be a reasonable route forward, but, I mean, it's kinda like, we're trying to say, if you're not from this county, you have to be a registered speaker to speak at our meeting. Not, you have to be a taxpayer or.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're not paying any of the services, but you're using it, that's no good.
The others should be paying.
And on top of that, I think trash service is one of the best services that this county offers. I mean, it keeps this county beautiful. Because if we didn't have that, we would see garbage on the sides of the road, and we're gonna pay for it one way or another.
And I think y'all are on track, looking at how to be more efficient. And I don't know if we can come up with 287 difference, but.
It's $3.1. 4, 5 stickers.
well, listen, one other thing is, you're not adding in, so we would defer some of that cost to independence, defer you to all the other, it would be just Grayson County. So if there's, if there's 7,000 something, okay, there's another 400, 500 people in there, so maybe it'll be $3.
Well, it's a service, in my opinion, that is worth preserving at all costs. And if that's a shortfall, I think there's some creative things that we can do.
Well, that's a goal. That would be a goal.
Is that what you're wanting, some goals?
Keep us going.
Yeah. This may be a little information overload on this slide, but I know we have some new people here and there's kind of terminology that's used, and I wanted to kind of give a synopsis of what our revenues are, what we have control over, what we have little control over. So in the first column is basically classifications of revenue, and that those terms are determined by the auditor of public accounts, okay? And I basically put in fiscal year 25 estimate and the fiscal 24 estimate. The one category of revenue, and on the bottom is our total revenue. So our total revenue budget this year so far is 28.7 million. Last year was 29.3 million. But of that, the board actually designated $1.9 million from fund balance to cover the costs in the budget. Okay, meaning revenues didn't equal expenses, so they put in a revenue of using fund balance to cover that shortfall of 1.9 million last year. Okay, that's not to say we're going to use 1.9, because we end up collecting more revenue sometimes than we anticipated. We don't spend everything that we assume we were going to spend, so we don't know yet where that number is going to land, and we won't know that until June. Well, actually, we won't know that closer to about August. The biggest category, of course, for the county is property taxes. We all know that. We all pay them. What do they say? Death and taxes. Those two things are for sure in life. So last year we had 14.5 million budgeted. This year is about 14.7. Difference of about 154,000. That is not what we assess in totality, because not everybody pays their taxes on time, but that is what we anticipate we'll receive. Okay, difference of about 154,000. Any questions on the property taxes? It includes everything: real estate, personal property, machinery, tools, merchants capital, and mobile homes.
Is that difference coming from
It could
the
be
percentage of unpaid the year before?
not necessarily. I mean, it could be partially delinquent taxes. It could be increase in values for personal property. It could be new construction. You know, we're just, and in all honesty, they don't even have the land book ready yet. So that number could potentially be low. It's based off of last year's numbers, last December's real estate.
Okay.
So and the personal property book won't be ready, I don't guess, until April, right? April.
They hope to have it over to the treasurer's office by April.
They're supposed to get the value sometime next week. So we don't even have the personal property values yet for June 5th.
Can you share with us what the fund balance percentage is right now?
It was 20% in the forecast. I imagine it's a little bit higher now.
I think last time we talked was 21
Like,
something.
I would say it's probably close to 22, 23%.
Anything over 16 is healthy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, anything I think over like close to 30.
So personally, I would like as a goal to keep our fund balance
Oh, yes.
at 20%.
Okay. I like that goal.
That's just my.
That's a quantitative, definable goal. Mhm. All right. Let me go over a few.
Do we know how we do it? Are they still following through on the real estate forfeitures and stuff on taxes, delinquent taxes?
We've already had a sale here since I've been here, and I've only been here since June, so I was pretty impressed by that.
Yeah.
I think there's some more coming.
He was having one frequently,
You got your finger on that, don't you?
We have had some turnover, obviously, in that office, so.
I'm not gonna tell you today, but
I know we kind of tasked the former pursuing that.
That's good.
Yeah, because we trucked along there 7 and 8 years without doing anything. Last our delinquent was 3 years.
That's a good point. The board, several years ago, I think you were here, you all changed those parameters for when they send it out and all. to get away from that 7, 8 years.
Which we were
I'm
still
not
a
sure.
little bit more lenient than what I think we could do.
Probably need to let the new treasurer know, we probably need to look it up in minutes and let her know those parameters that were set by this, not this board, but the previous board a few years ago.
Couple board, I wasn't on it.
I don't have the breakdown, because I'm just looking at the financial report. We just got a final draft of our 23 financial report. We have about $2 million outstanding in delinquent taxes as of June 30, 23.
Well, that's what, 8-9% of our annual budget, so it's a lot of money.
It's 14% of your tax levy.
It's
14%.
14% of the tax levy. Seems like low hanging fruit.
Not always easy to get it.
Because I think even if you sell it, it would take
I
longer.
wasn't saying.
Or do we, or do they have to pay the back taxes when they, the purchaser? Is that the way
They
it
don't
works?
have to, but hopefully you sell the property for more than what the back taxes are, and you get the administrative fees and processing, like the fees associated with advertising those properties. And a lot of times if it sells for over what the tax is, that money goes to the clerk of court for holding for 2 years, I think.
It does.
Gives the opportunity for the heirs to come back and claim it. And if they don't, that money comes back to the county. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, the seller's supposed to get it if there's excess.
but that taxpayer has until, they can come in the day of the sale.
Right.
As long as they pay, it, they're good, because we had that happen.
Yeah, that happened,
So far, have you gotten, somehow we got 2 goals so far. We want to keep the trash service, public works. The next goal is to keep the fund balance 20%. Is that something that we need to be making a motion on, or just, this is just conversation, right?
we want to make sure staff's in line with your thoughts on it, so we can plan.
And y'all, are those the 2 things y'all heard so far?
Yeah,
Yes.
so we don't, you're not looking for any action anyway, right? I understand.
Yeah,
I mean, today.
no, not at all. No, not probably until, like the 9th of May or the 23rd of May. And the 6th of June, or the 8th of June. So. Okay, one other thing, or a couple other things I wanted to point out on this slide. Early in my career in, let me think, 1999, when I was working in local government, interest used to be a part of the budget process, interest income on deposits. And I'm happy to say that the revenue from use of money and property here has become a significant portion, $540,000 increase in revenue just from interest that we are earning on the accounts right now.
And is that through the Virginia LG?
LGIP.
Yeah.
Local government investment pool
And so part of our fund balance, we keep in that?
in cash, yeah.
Awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
So that is a plus. Intergovernmental revenue is revenue for both federal and state. It includes salaries for constitutional officers, social services, comprehensive services act. It's a lot of different categories of revenue, but that's increasing about 1.1. And mostly because the General Assembly has basically gave, 7% increases in salaries for constitutionals. So that's increased our revenue that we're receiving for those offices.
Can I ask a quick question? The
Sure.
difference between money and property line item that you have there from FY '24 to FY '25, was there a policy that was put in place that we put more in the LGIP? Is that
Not
where
that,
that interest is coming from?
no interest rates have gone up. That's how much interest
That's
rates
all,
have
that's all
gone
there
up.
is to it? How much do we keep in that LGIP fund?
I'd have to look.
You,
Yeah,
I don't,
it's,
do we keep our entire 20%?
well, not all 20% is cash, of that. I can probably look, but because you have fixed assets that you have intangibles. that are in that fund balance. So the percentage of it of cash, I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but they do keep a good balance in LGIP.
I mean, to generate that kind of money in interest, is that whole 644,100 just interest on what?
No, we're renting some property. It's rental of the gate centers, and then there's another property that we're receiving like, I wanna
The
say.
line share is out of the.
Oh, it's interest, yeah. Mhm.
Question.
That's.
Oh, it is a lot of money.
Yeah, good question.
You said there was a 7% increase for constitutional officers. Is that for just the one itself or all their employees?
No, all the staff as well. And there are MOUs in place with all the constitutionals, so basically what the state gives in terms of a cost of living increase, county employees also get it. And if the state doesn't do anything and the county does, the constitutional officers and their employees also get what the county does, what the board
Okay,
gives.
so they're already getting 7% from the state regardless what we do.
No, this was last year.
That's last year,
This
that's last year.
They haven't decided right now.
Yeah, because they hadn't
They
finished the
still
budget.
haven't.
Hadn't finished the budget.
So right now, there's discussions that it will be a 1% bonus.
Governor offered 1%. There's two pieces of legislation, around 3 to 4, from the House and Senate, from House and Senate. And so governor's using the 1 as a bargain chip
Mhm.
to try to do some other things. We'll see where it lands. We may not know till late.
Mhm.
What's going on. That's
Basically, over the
We
last 2 years, though, they've got like 12% total, right? Something like that.
I heard the same thing as well.
Over the past.
For the past 2 years.
I will interview.
7 and 5,
5 and 7.
5 and 7, I believe, 5 and 4.
The other thing I'll say about the 2% didn't come till December.
And they haven't got this one for this year.
The 2%, they gave a 5%, and that 2% came in December.
So-
And they're looking at what, compression pay and stuff for.
They actually included that in December's increase, the compression pay. So,
Well, while we're on the money,
sure.
and this may be something obsolete, but there's a $3 fee in the AEP bill. Years ago, I think people thought it was for a trash fee.
Yeah.
So you understand where I'm
I
going?
know exactly where you're going.
Okay, and they collect that on behalf of the county, and then how often do they disperse that to you?
Monthly.
Oh,
Well,
it's-
that's the treasurer's office, but
Oh, it's
monthly,
monthly?
it's
Okay.
monthly and it's in the other local taxes.
Because
It's
of,
in the second.
okay, I was just trying
That's
to.
what the thing is included in other local.
It's that, sales tax is the lion's share of other local taxes.
Okay, because I didn't realize, I think the predecessor indicated maybe it was every 6 months or yearly that we got that.
No, we get that.
I might have misunderstood.
That's
Because I was
$3
thinking
per bill.
every account
Mhm.
in Grayson County has a $3 charge. And if, because my thinking was, what benefits them to get that money unless they were holding collective interest? So I thought,
Well, okay, I can go back even further. It used to be that AEP did collect it and send it to the localities. It was called, consumer utilities tax is what it was called, okay? Then the state had come in and decided that because there was a big lobby for telephone, electric companies, they didn't like sending all these jurisdictions checks. So the state said, we will collect it for you and charge an administrative fee. Okay, and so now they remit it to us as as consumption tax. But they do that monthly, but it includes from all the electrical and telephone companies.
this is a $3 charge, right?
I think it's called a consumption tax.
Are they getting a fee for collecting that?
State? Yes, sir.
So the state's collecting it, but they're giving it to AEP to,
No. AEP remits it to the state remits it to the local jurisdiction,
so there's a middle person getting a cut
state,
of the $3, which is the state.
yes.
How much of that $3 do they get?
I have to look, I haven't seen one of those,
And is this a state mandated thing or?
yes.
Okay, now we're learning.
Well, you can-
Yeah, that's the first thing I heard.
I was told it was originally a trash fee for you.
Yeah, that's what somebody
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
They thought.
Well,
On your electric bill?
Yeah, that's somebody else.
Larry
hey,
told me that.
when you first get in
That's when it
here,
was brought on.
there's a view tax that you gotta review, a view tax that you gotta check out what that means. There's this trash tax on the light bill. I'm being facetious, but you get hit with all these questions, you don't, I'm like, I don't know what the heck, so you have to go dig around and find out what.
Incidentally, if it's $3 per household, trash fee,
Hey, hey, hey.
it's $270,000.
That's right, just in case you're wondering.
That's not gonna help her.
Are there any other questions on this slide at all? So without any fund balance utilization this year, we would have about a $600,000 reduction we would looking on the expenditure side. If everything is constant.
The $1 million from the opioid
In a different fund.
and the casino money, is it in the overall figures though?
Casino money is in here, okay? It is in the, last year Lisa had it in the miscellaneous revenue, but it gets categorized according to the APA and intergovernmental revenue. So that's why you have a 592,000 difference on miscellaneous revenue, and 500 of that, or actually 600, has increased intergovernmental revenue.
Okay,
That's part of what's in that intergovernmental
thank you.
revenue as well. All right, put together a regional comparison of tax, just to give you all an idea of where Grayson County stands in comparison to our neighbors. The only county, if you look at the real estate tax, we're at 54 cents. The only other county that is less than us is Wake County, which is
155
Yeah.
million dollar budget.
they have a few more revenue dollars than we do.
Bigger portfolio.
Yeah, they have a much bigger portfolio. Same holds true on the personal property tax, and I was putting this together just for me, so I knew where Grayson County stood, and I thought it might be helpful for you all to see this.
Can I take a picture of that? Are we gonna get a copy of this?
I can email a copy of this out to you all.
I don't see the town of Independence or Freeze on
That's because they're not.
Well,
No, I know. I didn't do that.
Do you know theirs?
No, I didn't.
You got me.
I didn't think to put the towns on there just because,
I was just curious, cause I know the Gaelics, I guess, just have.
well, see, Valence is an independent city though. The people that are in the town have to pay both county.
Right,
and-
right. Yeah.
Downtown.
And I'm aware of that.
Yeah, so, but it's so much
Oh,
low,
weren't we all? Yeah.
so their rate is usually much lower
Right.
than the city.
Yeah. So I was just curious. It's not a big deal, because I get it from them too, because people in Independence are my people too,
Okay,
in my district,
okay,
so they're paying double.
yeah, I can throw it on there.
It'd just be good to know. I'm just curious.
Does anyone know?
That's why I don't live in town, or a town.
I've always, I don't know the answer. I told people.
I was thinking 44 something.
Get some stuff, right. Well, I understand that, and do you know the town of
It
Freeze?
would be less.
Not
than
for
half.
sure. They're,
It's expensive to live in the town of Freeze, isn't it? As far as the real estate.
There are appraisals too. They got, most of ours was rural farmland stuff, and so the rates was a little lower. All their rates was on average 40-some%.
You talking about freeze?
Yeah, all of them, when they did the,
So Galax just did their appraisals as well. Average over 40 years, average home went up 45%.
price was something like that when we did ours.
Right.
They're still, I don't think they've set a levy, yet. I mean, they're at $1. Freeze, Galax is at $1, yeah, $1 even, so they're, almost double what we are right now.
Well, I know this, we're all fairly new here. We're actually one of the older ones now. It's weird. But when you guys came in, we just went through the property value reassessments and all that. And that was targeted specifically to real estate. So we actually lowered the levy and we still have more. You probably,
Okay,
okay.
Mitch was telling me the story the other day.
All right, yeah, so we lowered the levy back that year, which gave the landowners a much needed break of 4%. They should have seen significant decrease in their real estate taxes that year. So I'm just throwing that out there because I didn't.
Yeah, I noticed because, I guess it was at 56 cents. Is that correct?
57, I believe.
It's 59.
Yeah.
59, yeah, 5 cents. Yeah,
59 cents.
So that would have been.
We went down to 54.
Or yeah, it was at 59.
Can we just ramble here?
Oh, yeah.
About that?
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody here wants to raise taxes. We're gonna see a forecast over the next few years where we're either gonna have to cut services or we're gonna have to raise the tax levy. And for the next 4 years, we've got the appraisal that was done in 2022. Correct. So we don't go up for another reevaluation until 2028. And so we know what our real estate value is. And it's like we're trying to guess in here, but we know exactly what our real estate value is going to be for the next 4 years. And if we wait until after that 4-year period to either raise the levy or cut services, whatever the board's desire is, it's going to be a shock if we wait until that 4-year period is up. Those are the knowns that we have right now. Our biggest revenue generator is real estate taxes. We know what the value of our real estate is, and we know how long we've got it. And so as we project the cost out over the next few years, I mean, we went down, Mitch, I thought it was 58 and we went down to 54.
59.
59.
It was 59?
Oh, I've got it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
5%,
59.
right?
So if we're gonna be good stewards of the county's services, I mean, to me, we have to pick either cutting services or raising taxes at some point. But if you could throw a penny on the levy or 2 pennies on the levy over the next couple of years, that's not gonna cripple anybody. But if you wait until the 5th year when we got a $5 million deficit and you've got to raise it by 20 cents, I hate whoever's sitting on this board. I hate it for whoever's sitting on this board then. So if we're going to be kind to the upcoming board and we do a little incremental, not saying we need it this year, but certainly something that we.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning because when we had this discussion 2 years ago when they did the real estate taxes, you guys had just gotten a final financial forecast and it was promoting 60-some cent increase, or not 60-cent increase, but up to what, 61 or 2 is when we come on the board. There was a, this is the new financial fight. You're right.
This is the
He's talking
new
about,
one?
he's going back on the old one.
I'm going back on the old one
Okay.
that we were working off of when we had the original.
So, which we've always beat the forecast.
We
Grayson County's always performed better than the financial forecast.
So, but it called for a huge increase because of what Mr. Brantley said, that we hadn't increased in several years. And I get his point, and it's, it's worth noting. However, it's also worth noting that we beat it significantly, and rather than going to what the financial forecast actually said, we went backwards and give people a huge break at that time. And that was pretty tough times, and times have even gotten tougher since that 2 years ago.
And if I can point out, we also at that time, during those tough years, had ARPA funding that came in that is not going to be coming in from here on out. And so, and we also put off a lot of the capital improvement projects during that time as a way to kind of beat the forecast.
That's kind of what we were up against when I first come on the board, was everybody been passing the buck down for so long.
And then it all hit at once.
It all hit at once, and then
Think
really the
about,
bad guys, but
think about what we're doing now to stabilize 911. We're using ARPA fund
Right,
and we're taking a loan.
right.
That's what we're doing. Right. If we're going to,
Gotta be thankful.
if we're going to tackle EMS, we better start thinking about
But that loan that you're mentioning is actually coming out of
it. It is.
we're paying that along with already
One of the things I think,
part of the,
one of the things I think you did in the past with the school, which I believe was the right call, was you forward funded capital improvement projects. So we put money into the school incrementally, which allowed them to do things, paying for the money, not having, take out loans or, to go on some significant debt. So it's just something to think, it's just something to think about.
well, along those lines, I would think we could look at cutting some services and getting a little closer to the bone with the meat.
What particularly, you thinking about something in particular?
I don't have anything particular, but they probably, you folks probably got a better eye on something, but I mean, just something to consider. I'd always be in favor of cutting something before increasing taxes. But that's just my thoughts.
If
What
it's
is there?
enough to make that much of a difference.
Yeah,
Might be a little bit here and there, I don't know.
big ticket items, you know, EMS, fire,
You have to cut
law
Those are the
enforcement,
services we don't.
the sheriff's
schools,
office.
sheriff's office.
You get the ticket out.
We already have a commitment to the school though,
Next 25, we make a commitment.
through this 25.
That's correct.
Well, you're looking for goals and stuff. I'll give my, what, I think that over the past couple of years, we have been incredibly generous to the recreation department. And I don't know that we need to continue that because it's made a huge difference. We've been incredibly generous to the school system. And I think we've set them up for success for longer than what we're putting into the fund. And I don't think we've done a good job looking out for the county's capital improvement plan. And we need to pay attention to that. And me personally, I don't have if I hurt somebody's feelings in here, I'm sorry, but I don't have a personal desire to take on any pet projects like Baywood and Mount Rogers School, and I think we could get more creative with that and give it to the community or whatever. But we also said we were going to fix broadband and 911 communications. And for me personally, that's my goal. I'd like to see this board focus on what we said we were going to do and not take on any pet projects, and let's just do business.
Is it fair to say that that's priority, not just to go, but
Right.
that's our
It's
priority?
what's priority.
It
It's a
is to
ranking.
me.
It's a ranking
Right, right, right.
system.
I mean, I agree.
I think we all agree on that.
I do have a question, the 2-cent economic development. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, for what I have learned, okay? I put this slide together, and this is just basically previous boards have designated cents on the tax levy to go to certain projects. 1 cent on broadband. According to Mitch's chart on the wall, it's 2 cents economic development, all aspects. All aspects means, I think is what the intention was all aspects of economic development, EDA and county EDA. So there's a portion of budgeted funds in the general fund for economic development. And then there was also a transfer to the EDA that has been budgeted historically.
Would it be 1 cent each way?
Well, it kind of depends on what I mean, the way I look at it, right now I've got 2 cents in the general fund for economic development.
So that doesn't go directly to the EDA fund.
As in,
Mr. Shepherd, when he was here, talked to the board, and I don't know about historically, but for 2 or 3 years, a couple of years, we said 1% of the budget we're gonna give to the EDA. 1%, not 1 cent, 1% of whatever the budget is, we're gonna take that amount and say it goes in. That's where your $290,000 came from. So no, it's not 1 cent each, because that year it was 290,000. That would have only left 110,000 to the economic development fund for the county.
If you remember last year, we did not put it in the EDA fund. I'm talking about a communication going forward. When I hear they talk about that, but there's still significant amount of money.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It seems like they have a pretty good pot of money. I don't think we need to add to that at this point.
There's also 2 cents designated for Baywood. So if we're looking at, right now we have, $330,000 sitting in an account for Baywood. There are some costs that we're incurring now that aren't being charged to that fund, that we can, the electric, we can kind of shift that over from the general fund over into the Baywood to cover some of those costs. But I guess my question moving forward is, if this is a project we're not going to proceed with, do we still want to designate 2 cents of the tax levy to Baywood?
We haven't put money in the Baywood Fund since 2020.
So it's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's just. And if we're not gonna do
Oh, the
something,
Baywood fund, it's in the Baywood fund, it's just sitting there, not touching it.
that's right.
And we can use some of those funds if the county needs it for another purpose.
Right now, those are designated for Baywood, so it would have to be costs incurred from Baywood.
Gotcha.
Which we do have, minimum every year.
Which we have the authority as a board to change.
To
it.
do undesignated.
Right, that's, I got your point, because we got water issues down that way too.
Correct, that's exactly what I was saying.
Okay.
So
I'd actually had a conversation with Steve too.
I would say that, I'm not saying you have to make a decision on Baywood, certainly not.
Not today.
But I think we need to put some thought in, are we gonna continue
Mhm.
holding some of these projects, our lodgers, Baywood, what's our long-term thought of these? How many community centers do we need or want or have? And then what's a path forward that the board desires for the staff to do with this? We can continue to pay the $15,000 to $20,000 a year that we pay on Baywood and hold. That's about what it costs us to hold on that property. Is there a different thought that we want to take on?
15, did you say 15 to 20?
Is it possible that we could do Baywood like we may potentially do Flat Ridge and
Turn it to the
give it to the community to?
What I don't know, Mitch probably has more information.
I don't know, I mean, I don't know.
So if you turn it over to or is Flat Ridge on a lease?
On the lease.
It's on a
It
lease.
was on a
But
50-year
we've been
lease.
putting money into Flat Ridge as well.
30-year lease.
Yeah,
Putting money into Flat Ridge. The county's been putting dollars into Flat Ridge as well.
we get money for roof.
The county did, we put a roof on it, that was bored several years ago, and it was back and forth, did we pay for the board, did we pay for the roof or not, bottom line, the board decided at that time, even though we're Flat Ridge community, and Russell knows on it, they decided at that time, maybe 4-1-3-2, I don't know what the vote was.
But there's no ongoing cost associated with that
Yeah,
school
there-
because they're doing it.
He mentioned to me they're getting ready to, the heating system's in bad shape. He's putting the money into the heating system. And they're planning to do it themselves. I mean,
That's not us, but.
No.
I think they're willing to, if we would turn the property over to them, they're going, they've been maintaining it over the past few years. And that they want to continue that, but before they keep sinking money and time and work, because these people are volunteering, they want to be ensured that the county's not going to come in and
Oh, sure.
use it for another.
Is it a certain entity, Mitchell, is it like a Rotary Club or?
It's just called the Flat Ridge Community Center.
Community, just
They have music on Saturday nights.
And they're very well aware too that their lease is gonna come up in 4 years.
Mhm.
So they probably don't wanna sink a bunch of money into something in 4 years from now, are we gonna be able to have it or not?
Right.
How much land's with Flat Ridge, you know?
How much money?
Land.
How much land is in Flat Ridge?
I don't know right offhand, but I know there's a few acres right behind it. Pretty good open field there.
Do they want everything? Or just a bit?
My understanding, yeah. I mean, I didn't get that far, but
If
Is
that,
there a group?
what
Like,
happened?
do they have a 501c3 set up?
I don't know about that, but I would say probably not, but I don't know. I could be speaking out of turn there. But we can find all that info out.
Be the same thing with Baywood, I guess, in my mind. They don't have necessarily a nonprofit set up. What I,
The Ruitins, they have,
I started.
They own
that's
some of
what
that
I'm
property,
getting
right?
ready.
I was gonna say, they're right there.
Property
on the
They
backside
would,
of the
they could,
They,
would look
not
at
the
it
school
and say,
property,
"We'll take
they
all
use
that."
the backside.
Yeah, we won't take this over in a lease.
No, I don't think they-
Because here's, let me throw this out to you guys. So did we not give Providence to Freeze Fire Department?
Yeah.
And we gave Oak Creek to the Oak Creek Fire Department? I mean, looking back, we already sold those properties as a county or got something for them, but I think it'd be fair to give the community those schools if the community wants those schools. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
I agree with that because
I'm 100%
the
on
community
board,
knows
because if you
what.
expect, you expect a board of 5 people to sit here and figure out what to do with blighted property, better off to give it to somebody or sell it to somebody than let 5 people that revolve every 2 years. Because government they can't fix a building and.
No, we screwed it up.
I-
That's what we did.
And
I hope not.
That's just
I'm
government.
with you. That's kind of where I am with pet projects. It's like we've got a building looking for a purpose, not a purpose looking for a building. And Mount Rogers School, I think the historical significance of it is so cool, and I think that's a cool building. But I've been to 4 meetings up there, and if you think that our committee with them is going to create something that's going to be a treasure in the county, I think we're wasting our energy on it.
One thing about the, especially, I can speak for Providence, I know the fire department, that's renovating those buildings and stuff, it's a pretty heavy anchor. So, I mean, but if you can give it back to the communities and let them go forward with it, with whatever projects they can come up, they would probably be.
And I think if along those lines, if we can help these communities, we have our community fund that we divvy out, money for, that we get these asks, probably use around $100,000 each year. If we could be fair about that, and these communities that's taking on these schools, so they're not a blight, we might consider prioritizing that in our giving section of the budget, if you see what I'm saying.
Helping them in a
Like,
small way.
In other words, instead of Chestnut Creek School of the Arts, I think it'd be better to, Flat Ridge School, some love. Just throwing that out there.
I mean, we just have a lot of major issues. The broadband and the radio system. The radio system's been down 3 times in the last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And we've got rescue squads going broke. We've got to come up with a plan. That's major issues that affect our people that we need to, that I want to prioritize.
Looking at this screen, Nikki, there's 5 cents in there, and 4 of it is going to something that I haven't heard from anybody on the board that it's a priority.
I just remember that 2 cent thing, we haven't done anything since 2020.
I got you. It's still sitting there, but as we sit here and prioritize what's important to this board, to me, all 5 cents needs to be going to broadband and 911 communications. That's, if we're going to make that our priority, then I'm taking on
No, I see where you don't 100% disagree, but at least that 2%, I don't know the story back behind all that, but if we've got some issues down there in that district, if we could help resolve those issues, still using
Definitely
that
have some
fund,
issues.
I think we would probably like that.
with the school
Mainly
itself.
no, not the school itself, but mainly some water issues. Mitch could probably give a better idea.
Louisville Lanes, yeah, that's what I'm
It's-
thinking.
it's
We've
a
been talking about that
It's a
too.
very large,
Well, we went-
It's got worse, I think.
Yeah, while we're talking about that project's done,
that has double.
cost.
So we may, I'm just thinking, I thought, I don't know. But anyway, I just threw that out there. I would support that. The economic development, I think, initially there was some big ideas on that before we all got here years ago. I don't know any other county that gives non-discretionary funding to their EDA.
Really.
So I think I think we need to support the EDA, but I think if they've got a project and they need something, maybe they come and present it. And there should be some parameters that what we're giving and who we're giving to. Not to say we wouldn't support them, but I don't think we should have at one point there was almost $1 million in that. we talk about EDA grants, but that's taxes, that's local Grace County tax, that ain't like fruit from Richmond.
Is that money sitting in the LGIP,
Some of it.
the EDA money?
Am I off base, cause you keep smiling?
Well, was I smiling?
You were smiling, I just thought, well, maybe I missed,
Thought that
maybe
was
I
just
got,
my disposition.
Okay.
It is.
I thought I was in the weeds or something.
When I came here, I was surprised at how much money was in
Look, look, we're gonna have $2.2 million sitting in a fund for schools. We're gonna have $1 million sitting in a fund for the EDA. And the county doesn't have any money sitting there. And so, and I've talked to all of y'all, all
Maxed out the cards.
offline, and I think that we have all in agreement that we need to focus on what we prioritize.
We do have priorities.
And don't,
Easy, man.
EDA has plenty of money, the school has plenty of money, sheriff's department's good. Let's focus on getting 911 communications and broadband and cellular. And let's don't make this too
I agree,
complicated.
we're
And I
getting
wanna add
into
EMS
disaster.
to that.
Well, yeah,
EMS, yeah.
well, I know we're probably gonna have another meeting at this meeting.
Yeah, we're just.
Oh, wireless.
Wireless authority.
I'm today?
Yeah.
Wireless. You're the chairman, you would know. I didn't know either, so I ain't gonna. Well, but one of the, I guess that the issue with the water down there, I've gotten a lot of emails and calls
Yeah,
and
me
people in my ears, so that's kind of been fresh in my mind, and it seems like such a gargantuan issue to try
It
to
is,
calm.
and so maybe it doesn't need to be the Maywood School Fund, it just needs to.
It seems like those people gotta have some outside help. There's no other way around it for them to, they're in a bad spot.
They live in a third world country with no.
I mean,
They
it's
have
not in the middle of
literally
the
no
US.
And it's not their fault.
Right.
And
No,
it's, I think it's our
Previous
position.
board has agreed to move
Yeah.
forward with that project.
We twice, man. I can't speak for you guys, but yeah,
but
on
the
that,
thing is, we've gotta find out where the money's gonna come
Yeah.
from, because it has, like you said.
we
it
told
has
them just
no-
to find it and do it.
So if,
I just
Then
want-
it had to be done. Do it before it doubles again.
No,
well, I
stop.
think that 2 cents might help on that, it probably will solve it,
But you've got to remember, you're talking about general fund cents.
but 2%, right?
Yeah, general fund.
Right.
PSA fund is a totally different fund. Okay, so by state code, PSA fund is supposed to be self-sufficient. Right now, to balance the PSA fund budget for next year, I have $200,000 coming from the general fund for what's existing now to cover the PSA shortfall.
Remember we talked about this.
Yeah, and
So that's a curveball.
I think we have
So-
to look at that and fix it, because, you know, the other people in the county that have wells, when their well pump goes out, we're not gonna put a well pump in for them, and we're subsidizing
So-
these people's water.
So my idea, did you just shoot my idea
Well,
down?
I didn't mean to shoot your idea.
No, it's okay, if you can't do
We're
it, you
just being
can't do
honest,
it.
we appreciate
Well,
it.
Yeah, I know there's parameters and all, and I wouldn't.
It does happen all over the state, but it's happening now in Grayson County where general fund dollars are covering the shortfalls of the enterprise fund, the PSA. So it happens,
It was happening when I came.
it's just not supposed to.
Yeah, I just thought, man, that looked like a low hanging fruit there.
Well, I think we are gonna, KLX water is gonna be an issue. We're operating at a deficit now. We're talking about adding a $600,000 bill award, which would add 8 to 10 customers. And the rates in KLX will continue to go up. They have a $16 million bill in that field.
Do you know what percent they're going on?
They've already went up. They proposed an increase next year and the year after. And they are, my estimation is that, I don't have any, this is a guess. So their real estate taxes, like Tracy was saying, we lowered ours.
Mhm.
Their property values went up 45%. I don't know what percentage that they will increase. They'll keep
Right.
to try to cover this water issue they got. They got a big water issue. We got the same issue.
And their water issue is our water issue.
Right.
We're partners.
And even though their rate already gone up, that's why I'm getting the
Yeah.
deficit.
Remember, we've not increased our rates yet.
We're already paying higher.
But we're gonna have to. There's no way around it. We're gonna have to. It's just like the trash fee. Go from $17 to $21 a month, and you're not breaking the bank. But what we heard for that PSA meeting was it was gonna go from like 30 to 60.
It's gonna double.
It's
That
gonna
was,
double.
that was the recommendation, was to
And
double.
so, and it's only impacting about 100 people in our,
350.
350.
just in that extension.
Is that counting Troutdale too?
No, almost on different ones.
Different
And
rate?
just the Galax water.
Oh, it's a
there's-
different
there's
rate too?
350.
Oh,
350, 400 feet on the gate, on the fire.
So then we're gonna ask the rest of the citizens to pay for 350. I mean, we're gonna have to go up on the rate, and that's just, we're not doing it on purpose, but it's gotta be a pass-through for us. But, I mean, I'd much rather pay twice what I was paying for water than not having any water at all.
But even if we go up on the rate, we still got issues.
There's no
And-
way we will recover that $500,000 from 10 people. So-
And we were already told that, you know, we're just basically passing the Galax bill on to our citizens. We're not taking into account maintaining our system.
Correct.
From out of the city limits of Galax into the county.
That's right.
And that's another deficit. Is it possible we can take a break?
Yes.
I didn't give you a book already, but.
No, thanks.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned it.
Yeah, I'm slow. Don't forget to slow up.
Thank
I knew that was coming.
It's good.
I knew that was coming.
What failed in the middle of the meeting?
Oh,
you. Yeah.
no, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I think I was almost done. Okay.
ET doing okay?
He went back to work today. Yeah,
She's sick?
he has been. He got really sick. It's actually, I've just been praying and praying because, you know, his dad is really sick. And then we went to see him Sunday, and my husband's never cold. He's the hottest natured person we ever met. And on the way home, leaving his parents' house, he cranked up the heat, and me and the girls were like sweating. And I'm like,
What's
are
going
you
on?
getting sick? And he's like, no, I'm just freezing. And then we got home, his temperature was like 100 and something. Yeah, and yeah, he was a sick pup. So he was.
What was that?
Well, so he took a COVID test, and I thought he said, I've got COVID, but he said, and I just missed it because he was talking like it.
Yeah, right.
And he said, it's not COVID. And I'm like, oh, thank God. But I thought he said, I've got COVID.
You good?
But yeah, that was Monday night that he was like the worst. And then Tuesday didn't feel great either.
Who's that for?
My husband.
There's nothing worse. Have you seen that video of the man?
The man cold. He is a tough cookie, but he
Oh.
does not handle sickness very well.
Yes, I
Yeah.
understand.
I don't know if it
I
just
understand.
hits him harder or what.
I don't know what a man does. I don't know what me men do as good, as well as women.
Oh, my husband's a jewel. He says all the time, he's like, if it was up to men to have the children, there'd be no people.
You'd be like, ah, it's not worth it.
It's not worth the pain. Oh, my gosh, that's-
Next one, maybe, as long as this one. This is very
I think it's
informative.
gonna be there.
So very informative.
You know, if Paul Boyle had a chance to call Zach.
Good.
Can we talk about that?
I'll try. But you called it twice. I don't remember the discussion was asking.
Okay.
I'll find out if you got 6.
well, that's my priority.
If you tell me about the call,
Oh, goodness. What are you doing?
I'll sweeten you up.
Sweet as sugar.
Ray did tell me, still thought that it was gonna be a significant cost. You had to have it.
Tom said, "Play the sleepy room."
But
He said,
like,
I don't know what's gonna be $250,000.
have been assigned opportunities administrator role in contract opportunities for Sam.
Does he know?
System of Award Management, it's a federal government site.
I knew what
I've been looking for that for quite some time now.
The same.
He's going to hold me
I owed you something.
down. I was like,
Mary. 9 caves.
what?
Mitch, she's up there.
Oh, sorry.
I'm always on good.
Not good with prices the way they are this year.
I mean, heifers
Don't
are bringing
get
good too, just
Don't get
not
too
as
greedy,
good.
Mitch.
They're all pretty good right now, but not as good as steers. They,
No, there's too much price difference between.
you know, sometimes their diet and the pH of your soil
I
can
got it.
actually
I got it.
sway that.
The gender?
Hey, I put lime and fertilizer for the last.
You get them to test it for you? You get them to test it for you?
No,
Kevin?
no.
BT can come out and do soil tests. They're free.
You think that's causing me health?
I don't know, I'm just saying.
It's worth looking at it.
If you just don't like girls,
I didn't know there's any way you could affect that.
it's not a like 100% thing.
Just
So like if it's way off and your soil is really acidic.
I've never heard I never heard that. But I've been liming I fertilized about every 2 years on pasture.
But the predominant cause is the bull. They can
Need to bull.
Be out of here.
Might be on the plate
Get your
next
soil
year.
tested before you cut his throat.
Oh, I test him every year.
The soil,
Oh, no. Oh, you say get the soil. I thought you said get my bull tested.
No.
the soil.
I know. I test my bull every year.
Do you hand test him?
Oh, we're not live. You don't.
If you are.
Oh.
I can't cut it off. I did say this before earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I did mention that.
You don't have to tell me.
Yeah, don't answer that.
It's agricultural, yeah, county land.
Take him to the veterinary.
Give him free advice here. I can give him a bill.
We're back in session. Okay, I also included, part of my learning curve was seeing what documents were existing here. There was a fiscal, financial forecast that was done in May of 22. So, of course, I read that when I first came on. It actually calls for a 13-cent increase in fiscal year 2026, which is huge. It's huge. Huge. And I just noted that the most substantial increase that they've had here was in 20, and it was 7 cents. So I just kind of wanted to put that in the forefront of your mind. Now, that included about $7.5 million worth of capital projects.
Yeah, most of it was related to EMS.
The largest increase was when 2020, Mr. Sweet came, he had to do a 44% increase.
7 cents.
That was and pretty much since then, till,
Huh?
it was pretty much since then that, till we stepped it up the next time.
Still at 7 cents.
Yeah, we didn't get to call that.
Is that, when's our next reassessment on?
2028.
This is what I was saying earlier, we know exactly what our real estate is, we know exactly how long we have before it's done again.
And the board does have the option to change it if you want to.
The 5 years?
I don't,
We can change it to what?
It's
Oh,
6 now.
oh, it's 6 to 4. Gotcha.
you can do it every year,
You can't.
you can do it every year,
Northern Virginia, that's a very common.
but we don't wanna do that.
That's cost.
I mean, we're sitting here with high real estate values.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, we've got high real estate values for the next 4 years, and I think to be fair to the next board that comes on here, that's what we're working in between and doing incremental changes instead of doing a 13 cent. It's, cause whoever's sitting in this seat, I hate for.
So that's the houses. Is the land, because we didn't do the land last time, how does it, is there a time that the
There's no
land gets?
difference.
Yeah, no,
That's
the
everything.
land is the same thing. Now, personal property gets assessed every year. That may
No,
be what-
but when we reassessed the houses a couple of years ago, the homeowners, the houses were not. But we didn't,
The appraiser just said the land values didn't change. They
so he
said
just
the
kept
same.
it, so it wasn't, no, I got you.
There was a
In the
2%
value.
increase in raw land and a 34% increase in houses.
Basically, a lot of it to do with housing shortage.
Yeah, everybody's seeing the increase in the homes. I'm just hoping that the land stays where it's at. We're in a similar situation, we're getting another break.
The only other thing I had was the next budget meeting is on 4/2, and that'll cover the general operational budget. And of course, we would welcome any comments, suggestions, or questions.
I can't be here.
Do you want us to change it?
No, don't change it for me. It's everybody else, y'all. I get back on the 3rd.
What day is that? The
It's a
second?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Could we change it? Cause I
Yeah,
work on.
I'll probably change too, because I got.
Well, we're gonna have to change it then.
Thursdays are great for me. At this point right now.
I could also do Thursday.
That'd be the 4th.
It would.
Yep. Well, I can make it,
4/4?
I can make it happen.
4/4?
Is
You want
that,
to change to 4/4?
Can you do that, Mike?
Yeah, we're 4 at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Well, thank you all. This has
3
been
o'clock.
3 o'clock, yes. Mhm.
anything else? No, so I guess I'm from.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
So
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
So you're gonna send us an email that clear so we can chew on it some more?
Oh, sure.